Why did we quit YouTube, Bex?
We quit YouTube because what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to our channel. It's your girl Bex.
And I'm Carly.
And we deliver content to unlock your mindset and actions to be limitless. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And like we always say, ring the bell notification so you can be notified when we're dropping gems just like this.
Boom! We are back. So this video, we're going to be talking about why we quit YouTube. Why did we quit YouTube, Bex?
We quit YouTube because life literally got in the way. Literally got in the way.
100%. So it's not, so yes, like we were saying we quit. It was just a case of us just taking a little bit of time out, mostly for myself. So unfortunately, I lost my dad and my sister 2 weeks apart. So March was a bit of a crap month, to be honest. So just kind of dealing with that. Obviously with my sister, it was unexpected, and my dad had been ill for some time, since January. So just kind of dealing with that, being in hospital like every day pretty much with him, and and then my sister. So that has been really tough. So we just took a little bit of a break, but now we're back, and we just wanted to kind of talk about this because things happen. Life can get in the way sometimes. There's ways to deal with it and cope with it. Like, my work has been absolutely amazing, and if anything, you know, they've given me the opportunity to take more time off than I had. But for me personally, I didn't want to take it because the way my mind works, I'm a thinker, so I wanted to keep my mind busy as much as possible. So yeah, it's just some ways to deal with it and cope with it, and how that sort of has been challenging for us, because obviously for Bex it's been a different sort of challenge as well.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one, and obviously I've been worrying about you and stuff because I know that you do overthink, but also it's just like making sure that you're taking that time out to process it and to grieve as well, because I feel like we can busy ourselves and not necessarily deal with things. So I think that one of the things that we wanted to do is not put out stuff that we're not like all the way in for, right? And this is the thing, some people will quit and just don't come back to it, but it's more like put the brakes on, have time to breathe, and then come back. Because whilst we are super serious about what we're doing at this moment in time, it's not so big that we're like turning over a lot of money and we have to keep going and you have to be dragged through this and whatnot. We have the luxury of just taking that time out. So yeah, it's been a little bit triggering as well because my dad passed away last year, so it's just a strange dynamic and whatnot, and just trying to make sure that you're getting through it as well. So yeah, man. But you know what, I'm super excited to be back. Super excited to what we're gonna do with the YouTube channel, where we're gonna continue to go, what we want to bring, like show a different side of us as well. So yeah, super excited for the next steps.
100%. And so, like, though we hadn't been recording, we were just sort of having some chats in the background about what we wanted to do. There's some videos that we had made beforehand about reaching out to people, which Bex has sort of edited and ready to send out to people. So we've already got some people lined up that we want to interview, and that's one of the biggest things we always said, is this is about interviewing, you know, especially women of color, really bringing them to the forefront. So there's quite a few people we started to reach out to. Well, we're going to be to get them on the channel, and that's what we're super excited for. Like, we're going to be talking to people and sharing their experiences and journeys, which is amazing.
And like we said, we don't want to go for the like, and there's nothing wrong with that, but we want to be more like reachable, attainable for the everyday person, not a person that is a multi-millionaire already. Yes, of course they've successfully clues, but we want to make sure that the next steps are documented, so we can say to you, look, go away and do this. We can't guarantee your success, but these are some of the next steps that you definitely need to go away and look at and get skills in, or whatever it may be, in order to progress into that same career or venture or whatever it may be. So yeah, man, I don't know, like I think it's going to be good to have more people on the show and get diverse opinions, perspectives, in all different industries. That's what we want to do, is we want to cover all different industries, and like we said, really focusing on women and women and people of color, really.
Absolutely. And I think you've nailed it there, but it's like, you've got people who are on, rung 10, people are on rung 1. And it's a lot harder, though it's amazing and it's inspiring to see those on 10. But it's like you say, is it realistic, or can you feel like that's attainable? And you're just like looking up like, wow, having the conversations with people on rung 3 or rung 4, there are a few rungs ahead of you, but knowing the steps to get there, because it isn't just that big leap to the top. There's a lot that happens in between. And I think that is definitely not just the fact that, we see a gap with women, but there's a gap in finding those people who are maybe at the earlier stages or in the middle of that growth to the top of the ladder, that really understanding how they got there and the next steps to help provide a better journey, because that middle bit is missing, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like it's briefly touched on, and of course we want to sort of get more into the how, not the what.
Exactly. And I think I just saw something literally today, right? So I'm doing like other things on the side, like cleaning business or whatever, and I was thinking about like carpet cleaning, and I saw this really good TikTok. It had a lot of followers, good videos, and I started reading some of the comments and stuff. And one of the questions that somebody asked is, what's the make of the carpet cleaner that you're using, right? And they're just like they're not being direct, or like, oh, it's like this PSI or this watt or that watt or whatever. So I was like, why don't you just tell me what the make is? And it's like, we want to unearth that. We want to say this is a list of manufacturers that you can go to, because there's so much room for all of us to succeed, right? And
Yes.
when we speak to people, we only want to speak to people that are gonna be open. Like, by telling somebody else is not going to dampen your like success or bring you down by bringing somebody else up and all the rest of it. But yeah, look, we're already digressing. Like we came here to tell you why we quit and how we dealt with it and how you dealt with it. But we're super excited about, moving on and continuing what we want to do. And, your dad, your sister will be super proud of you for what you're doing as well. So you just got to continue. It's life, isn't it?
Absolutely. It is weird though, because I remember my friend was telling me about the different stages of grief, because similar to you lost your dad a few months ago. She lost her grandma as well. So like, I've been obviously speaking to you and speaking to her, kind of like how they've dealt with it and the stages of grief. It's crazy. Like I definitely can say I've probably, so 7 stages of grief I was looking at: shock and denial. I've definitely been through shock and denial, pain and guilt, anger and bargaining, depression, loneliness, and reflection. So I wouldn't say depression. I've definitely been through reflection side. Upturn is more engaging with your friends and family, definitely. Reconstruction, where like this is now going to be the new normal, and then acceptance and hope. So I could probably say I've been through probably every one of those stages. Like I said, not so much depression or loneliness, I've not felt that, more the reflection side. But you really, when my friend mentioned about it and I started looking at it, I was like, oh my God, yeah. And like one of the first ones with my dad was the anger side, definitely. And then obviously with my sister, it was like denial, because we weren't expecting it. So it's just like, what's going on? And it's weird because a lot of people, even up to the funeral, didn't feel like it was real until that point. Like, nah. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a proper strange one, and we've spoken about this so many times in the past, like before any of this happened, before I lost my dad and that, and we were saying about how we hadn't been through a loss, we hadn't experienced anybody close to us passing away. And when you say about anger, what was it that you felt angry about, like when your dad passed away? Is it
so it was, I think it was just before he passed away. It's when they put him onto end of life care. So I guess that's obviously like it's going to happen any moment. I wouldn't say anger at God, but it was an anger at the situation, and I just sort of vented. I was in the car, just finished training, and I just lost it. I was just driving along and I just absolutely lost it. And I was going mad because I was like, how can this person who he has not hurt anyone in his life, he's such a good guy, be dying that way? I just thought it was cruel when there's people who are just awful people who get to have a better sort of end to their life than that. And that's what I really struggled with. Yeah.
It's a deep one, you know, like it is a deep one. I was angry when my dad passed away because I was like, you're a clerk, because I was like, I wanted to, me and my sister had this conversation. We are just like, there's so much that I want to say to you. Like, you know what I mean? Because we didn't had the closest of relationships. There's like so much I want to say to you. There's so many things unsaid. Like, then you start to feel guilty, like, or feel a burden, like, oh, but I could have called you, or I could have done this, could have done that. And it's all those, it's so different, but depending on the relationship you had with the person as well. Like, if you're close, it's like, why is that person going through that? And like you said, right? It's just a strange one, man.
It is a strange one. And especially like the guilt side, especially with my mum, with my sister, like seeing that and dealing with what she's had to go through with that. But she didn't, it's nothing she could have done, but you can't help but think, what if I had done this? If I had just checked sooner, or blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, this doesn't work like that. But in your head, it makes sense, and there's a reason why you're thinking like that and whatever else. But it's just like they say, it's one of those stages, and sometimes you don't necessarily. I think I went through them quite quickly as well, whereas I guess some people, maybe they won't go through some of those stages. It could be well past, they're past, and then it sort of just hits them.
Yeah, I feel like as well, not sure about for you, but I feel like leading up to the funeral it was all just a bit weird. But for me, it absolutely hit me on the funeral day. Like, especially for my dad, as soon as we buried him, I was just like, oh shoot, like this is not a drill. This is real. I'm not sure if it was like that for you, if it was like a realization, or if you had accepted before then, kind of thing.
I think when the hearses arrived and they came down the road to my mum's, because it left from theirs, that was when I really had to like hold it in. That's when you're like, this is happening now. So that, I'd say probably at that moment,
Absolutely. How do you think that you've gone about trying to deal with it though? Like, have you tried like?
Yeah, so I was looking at just sort of online. Like, I think not everybody's sort of aware, like self-aware of their emotions and how they deal with a lot of stuff. I know for myself, if I'm stressed, I don't ever feel it like in my head in any way. I don't think negatively or anything like that. It more comes out in my body. So I didn't eat, I lost quite a lot of weight. And then I put a little bit back on, and then leading up to funeral again, I lost it again. So just sort of fluctuating, because you're just not feeling hungry. You're just like, you don't think about those things. I was just looking at entrepreneur.com, and they were talking about like obviously managing it. Obviously I've got a team, quite a big team at work and stuff like that. So, having a plan, communicating with your staff, like delegating, that was a key one. It was amazing because in some ways it was a really good way to show they've got it. Don't worry about it. Like, you worry about, I don't want to give them too much, or is that bit too this? And no, I'll take that. They just dealt with everything, and it just made it like, wow, they're amazing. They need that challenge as well. And being put into that situation really just showed how much I can trust them as a team. And like the support that I got from them as well, like, was amazing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's really good, like, and it is nice because you learn a little bit about your team. You learn more about your team as well. So, there are some positives that come out of it as well, just in your own life in going forward. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, because it was like, boom, Monday, I'm not in. Obviously, sister, bang. So for like 3 days, I think it took. Then I sort of came back for a couple of days. Was there the next week, still catching up. Then bang again, out again. So like, yeah, it was a lot, and I have a lot of like projects as well. So I was like, it was amazing, and my boss has just been incredible, absolutely incredible. But like things like not putting a timeline on grieving. Also, everybody grieves differently, so not feeling like, I shouldn't do this or I shouldn't do that. Feeling bad for doing things like that. Like, everybody's different, and for me, a lot of it. So initially, obviously, when especially when my dad passed, like, I didn't train for a while as well. I just wasn't feeling it. But then afterwards, that was a really big release for me, and it does keep your mind off it as well. It talks about reaching out to community, figuring out as well what will help. So stuff like that, like the training for me. Don't apologize for your feelings. Set achievable goals and work towards them. Forgive, and it's about forgiving yourself. Like, forgive yourself for meltdowns, forgive yourself for taking breaks, forgive yourself for time out, for being angry. Like, it's absolutely fine. And then one of them was seek expert help. So for me, like, so at work we've got a program like with professionals that you can call and do it, but it's just not something I'm into and ever have been. I find I relieve that, not stressful, but if I've got something on my mind, I'll either go to like yourself or other friends or my mum or something like that. So I relieve it through friends and family, and I just have a rant and then I'm good. I don't really like talking to strangers because I'm a very private person, and that has helped me, especially talking to people like yourself who have gone through it, because I just sort of asking stuff, or how did you do this and how did you feel about that, and it's that helped me really.
I think it's really, really key to try and not use things to escape, like drinking, drugs, and sex, whatever it is. Because like I've often been susceptible to drinking quite a lot or whatever, and I noticed this when my dad passed away. That's what I just started to turn towards. Drinking again. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, nah, just, you have to be so like, so when you say about, people say, oh, take time, or make sure you're grieving properly, or do you think you should be doing this, or do you think you should be doing that? If you can do something that is going to take your mind away and be positive for yourself, then you should do that. But as long as it's going to be positive for yourself and not like detrimental, like 100%. throwing yourself into work, or throwing yourself into exercising and things like that, okay, try not to do it to a period where you're starting so early and you're not finishing till late, because you know that you're trying to just totally escape it. Do you get what I'm saying? But I feel like just being cautious and conscious and self-aware, like you said, like even just being self-aware of your emotions and just trying to understand yourself. But again, also forgiving yourself if you do drink a little bit too much, or you do something that you know that you shouldn't do, or whatever. And it is a strange process. It's a super, and like you said, there's no one way fits all. And
definitely. But I think one of the key things, like it was saying, is though you might not be a person that is into like therapy or whatever, if it's getting quite bad, get to a point, just give it a try. Because even if you have one session, go, this isn't for me, at least you gave it a try. For me, I didn't do that because I felt I was getting what I needed from the people around me. I did have a period, like even when my dad was initially ill, where obviously I kind of was a bit more withdrawn and just wanted to be on my own more. And I'm quite you know me, I like being on my own anyway, but I guess I retreated more back into that as well. All right, leave me alone. I just want to be on my own sort of thing. I don't drink. So for me, it wasn't like something that I'd go, oh, maybe I'll have so that was okay for me. It was more just retreating to be more on my own. And then like, especially like my CrossFit friends, they were like, look, you'll be surprised how much it will be helpful being around everybody in the community. And it really did. Like when I went back, it was very, very, it was good. I was glad I went back to training.
But you also did a lot of research around, like, especially for your dad, you did a lot of research around it, speaking to doctors, actually trying to understand the situation that you was in as well. Probably did help, I guess, to a certain extent.
Definitely did. I'm like that. If I don't understand something, I'm straight videos, reading articles, trying to, like, I don't like not knowing about things. And that was, I think that was a key thing to, which definitely helped, because obviously it was expecting and just understanding why he wasn't getting any better. But obviously it was really difficult being able to be with him throughout, leading like sort of up to when he put on end of life. But then obviously when he died, I caught COVID and I couldn't go and see him. So that was the hardest part for me. I was with him that whole time until the day that he actually needed me to be there at that last moment. That hit me. That was horrible. And it was the day before my birthday as well. So it was just a lot. It was a lot.
It's just, it's way too much. It's way too much. How are you feeling now though? Like, I know it's only like, what, a week or so on. from the funeral?
Yeah, I'm feeling all right. I've got so much to keep me busy, and that's, like I say, you know, I just need to keep my mind, or I don't like to not do stuff. One, I don't like feeling unproductive, but two, my mind will wander, so it has to be kept focused. So I've got so many things to keep it going. I've got loads. You should see all the paperwork I've got there that I'm sort of going through. So yeah, I'm good. I'm fine. And you know, for me, if I'm not, I'd probably say if I'm not messaging or I'm quiet, that's probably the time. But I just try and reach out to people when I need, really. So yeah, I'm good, thank you.
That's also an interesting one, because I'm like, I've been like with you, I'm like, okay, very quiet, but I feel like maybe you want that. Like, so I've tried not to message you too much and kind of just leave it, because I know that eventually you'll reach out or I will message. And it's just like, just trying to know that person as well, of like, do they want me to message? Do they want, like, and you can kind of gauge by responses. So you'd be like, okay, cool, let me just leave her if she's okay, like, but she just wants to be by herself or whatever.
It's definitely something I didn't want to talk about. So like I'd message like people to say, right, look, this is what's going on. Don't ask me about it. I don't want to talk about it. This is what I've done, because that's when it brings it all up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 100%. Yeah, but it's good. It's all good. It's all good. Getting through. Excited, happy to be back now.
Yeah, exactly.
Looking forward to seeing what's to come. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to, like I said, I'm looking forward to being back on the channel for recording. I've been itching to record. I've been just like, but you know, it will come back when we're supposed to come back. But yeah, let's see what happens.
Absolutely.
So that's the end of this week's episode. We can't wait to get back to you next week. I've been your girl, Beck.
And I've been Carly. Thank you so much for watching this week's episode, and we will see you next week.
Peace.